Hello. Well, I just received two of these Lil Rider Wiggle Cars, purchased from Amazon.com, and got ready to assemble them and found out that, well, the instructions left a little bit to be desired, left a couple of the finer points out, so I thought I would help some of you parents and grandparents out there that are putting these things together for your kids to make it go a little smoother. I read some of the issues in the reviews that some people were having putting these together, and it sounds like it was just because there were a couple of little things left out of the instructions. Plus, the steering wheel is different from the steering wheel that's in the instructions, which causes a little bit of confusion. But anyway, I'll go over that and put it together. I have one already put together. That's where I learned some of the finer points. Did a little more searching online and kind of put it all into one video. And with that, we'll get to it. Okay. Simple from the back. There's the whole thing right there. Yours may come inside a plastic bag. The other one did. This is the instructions. I'll refer back to these as we go. You'll want to read through those real good before you get started. So I'm going to stop the camera and back it up so I can point it down towards the car. Okay, this is the basic car here. The front wheels, and these are the rear wheels. Two of those, and this is the steering wheel. Steering wheel, and this is the steering wheel post. It's a compression type bolt, and we'll get to that in a little bit. A little bit closer look at that. That's a 14 millimeter nut if you want to use just a regular socket. This came with a socket included that you actually apply using a screwdriver. I'll probably use that one because that's what most people are going to use. A lot of people don't have a set of sockets. Here's the socket that comes with it. It's just a little tube, and this end, as you can see, has the socket in to tighten up that nut with. And then this is the cap that goes on the steering wheel. That's everything. Let's put it together. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put these rear wheels on. When you look at the rear wheels, it's kind of hard to put them on wrong because they've got this little peg over here that fits in a slot. Take a closer look at that. This little peg here fits in a slot on both sides. This flat portion points towards the front of the car, and this longer rounded portion points towards the back of the car. Pretty easy to put on there. I'm going to use a rubber mallet. That's what they say to use. If you don't have a rubber mallet, just take a regular hammer and wrap a piece of cloth or some paper towels around the head of it and just secure that with a rubber band, and you can use that. It's just something soft to keep it from damaging the plastic. That's Munchie. She's got to check everything out. That's just part of her job. So what I'm going to do is take the first wheel and line up the slot inside with the peg out here on the outside. And as you can see, I've got it set up so that the longer part and the rounded part is towards the back of the car. Get started there. And then I'll tap it into place with a hammer. And you might double check and just make sure you line those slots up, because if they're not lined up, it's not going to want to go in there. Pull up a little closer here so you can see. Going right in there. Okay. Now we'll do the other side. If you don't get that seated in there, your wheels aren't going to sit right on the floor. You're going to have one wheel that's up off the floor. So if you put your car down and it's kind of tippy, that's because one of your wheels is probably not seated down all the way. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. Make sure it's in the slot, and it is. Another whack, get it all the way down. All right. Okay, then we're going to put the front wheels on. This is just to protect that metal there on the front, and then this cushion is going to be used with to kind of pad that middle bar there from little hands and little knees. And you just slide this in, slide it through that tube. And when you get down to the bearings, these are the bearings that it swivels on. It's got to be seated down into that plastic. So here's where you're going to use your hammer again. Make sure everything's lined up and where it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to seat those bearings in. Again, a regular hammer with a piece of cloth. You could just lay the cloth on top of there and then just hit it with a regular hammer. But if you can see those bearings, I'm going to make those seat right down into that round plastic hole. And then you can see bearings have gone down into that plastic hole, so it's all set together. Now what we're going to do, if you look at the top, that metal tube that's coming up there is flush or level with the top of that hole. Now what we're going to do is put the steering wheel on. Again, that's a compression fitting. And we want the small wheel towards the front, and if you turn it up on its end, it's going to hang correctly. The small wheel in the front and the larger wheel in the back. Those back wheels are the drive wheels. This steering wheel, these point towards the back of the car. The instructions have a different steering wheel on them, so it was a little bit confusing. I looked at several sites, and they all have this steering wheel set up where this is the front towards the front of the car, and these are towards the back of the car. So Sam will set it up. When you place it in here, it will hang that way. So it kind of helps you to line everything up. Back it up a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Okay, now another problem people are having, they're saying it's not tightening up properly. You don't want to have this space in here. You can see it. See that space? You want that bolt to bow on down into that the post there, so that you don't have any slack. That's going to cause a problem with the bearings moving in and out, and it's also going to cause a problem with the steering wheel slipping. So it should just slide in there, but it doesn't. So I found that if you'll set it down on the floor and take this little tube that came with it. It's got your socket on one end, it's just round on the other. That round end will fit right down over that nut in there. You can use the other end and put it down around the nut. I just prefer to use this and just tap it so that it all moves down. So I'm going to set that on top of that nut. And tap it till it all goes down seated. Let's take a look at it and see how it looks. So see, now that part of the post is not showing. It's all seated down in there, nice and snug. So now we're going to tighten that nut. So again, we're going to try to line up these front wheel with the steering wheel like that. They need to be lined up when you do the final tightening. I'm going to go ahead and use the wrench that came with it instead of a socket, but you can use a 14mm socket if you so prefer. I'd be careful about putting too much pressure on it though when you're using a socket. So, but anyway, I'm going to use their tool. It fits right down over the nut. And then just take a plain screwdriver. I use a Phillips head, so it'll slide down into that hole of your tool like that, thusly. And then you can use that tool to tighten that nut down. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of tighten it lightly. Your steering wheel is going to move on it. Just keep moving it back into position. Keep your wheels straight on your front end there. Make sure your steering wheel's straight. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you know how kids are. They're going to be swinging that thing all over the place anyway. Then get it good and tight. Make sure it doesn't move. And then just remove your tool. Done with that. There's your basic car put together. And just check your bearings. Make sure your bearing is seated under here. Make sure your bearing is seated under your steering wheel. So that's all tight. When you lift up on the steering wheel, it shouldn't play back and forth. It should stay right in one place. Now all we have left to do is put this little cap on there that they sent with it. This cute little cap covers up the nut. Cap in that hole and just give it a tap. There you have it, the finished product. And that should hold up. It seems like it's pretty well made. I got this for the grandkids, and or otherwise I would do a little test run with the kids, but I've got two of them here, and this one went together a lot quicker than the last one. So, okay, well, I hope this video has helped a few people out there put this little rider together. Again, the reason I'm making this video is because I had two of these, and I put the first one together, and I was online trying to figure out where this part went and where that part went and how it fit together and why this information was missing and why the steering wheel didn't match the steering wheel on the instructions. So after I figured it all out, I thought I'd just share that information and save somebody some aggravation on the morning before someone's birthday or the morning before Christmas, that kind of thing. So hope this helped you. If you liked the video, please hit like below. If you have any questions or I didn't make anything clear, I tried to explain everything as clear as I could, but any question, just drop me a line and I will respond to it. With that, hope you have a great day, and maybe I'll be making another one of these. Thanks. Bye.